Hi guys, it's John with Empire Weather. Today's Thursday, November 30th, and we're looking at the weather forecast in South America. What you're looking at right now is the 7-day precipitation anomaly forecast from the European weeklies on November 16th, almost 2 weeks ago. You might be asking yourself, why am I showing you this? The answer is because I want to address a narrative that has made its way onto social media and into our inbox from either competitors or experts around the industry or people just trying to get an understanding of what's going on. But it's a narrative that I don't really understand, and there's no data to back up. And that is that the European has been wrong or too wet in Brazil, specifically Mato Grosso, with this pattern. That is not true. And you can see that right here because the weeklies from November 16th told us that the next 2 weeks would be drier than normal across the entire area, and that is exactly what happened. So I want to just say, I've seen this more and more in the last couple of days, that the Euro has been too dry and the GFS has been better. It's simply not true. There's no statistics to back it up. And here's a graphic showing you directly a forecast from the 16th taking us through early December, and the weeklies showing a much drier than normal pattern across Mato Grosso and central Brazil, and wetter than normal across southern Brazil. That's exactly what happened. So, needless to say, the pattern has been dry across central Brazil and wetter across southern Brazil, and that's been where we've been stuck. A lot of the reason that we've been stuck has been because of the tropical forcing mechanisms that have been driving this pattern. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But in the meantime, just take a look at this graphic and understand that it is obviously not a good situation across central Brazil, across Mato Grosso. We've seen the images, we've seen the reports of replanting. We know how bad it is, and we know that we have a couple of weeks to clean this up. And I'm going to get into the reasons why we're expecting a pattern change, but I don't know or think that it's going to save the season by any stretch of the imagination. So this level of dryness in the soil, in the root zone soil, is obviously very bad, especially as we get close to the December 1st in central Brazil, and that's what we're going to focus here. So one of the reasons that things have been stuck for so long is the MJO, the Madden-Julian Oscillation. So I'm going to save everyone the technical mumbo jumbo and just tell you what this map is, okay? So I want you to look first at the bottom here. This is where our point of reference is for all these colors on this chart. And these are the MJO phases, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. These are the ones that we're so used to understanding with the MJO phase. We usually see that circular chart with a line going around. This is just a better way of looking at it because it shows you where the actual convection is. The MJO is guided by convection, by thunderstorm activity. And that's showing up in your blues and greens here. The reds and oranges and yellows are showing you a lack of convection, sinking air, subsidence, no thunderstorms. This green and blue is showing you where the storms are. And you'll notice that the pattern that we've been in has been convection here, right? This is in the early phases, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is where our convection has been. And these phases are associated with drier weather in Brazil. That is very well known. It's why El Niños tend to be drier in Brazil, because this is where the MJO typically hangs out. But we're seeing a significant change in the next 2 weeks, a very important change, and it involves that convection sliding over here. So this is from December 6th to 11th and beyond, and we now have convection near the date line, 180 right here. This is the date line, and look at the phases that we're in now, 7, 8, and 1, right? This is a totally different forcing mechanism on the pattern, and where these thunderstorms are located feed back onto the pattern in South America. So this is a big change. Now, there are papers all over the place researching this. I'm not going to go into all of these detailed, analysis of the paper. You can look up this article. It's Impacts of the Madden-Julian Oscillation on the Intensity and Spatial Extent of Rainfall in Brazil. In the pre-wet season, which is where we are right now, wet season doesn't really start till mid-December. The MJO phases 8, 1, and 2 affect the occurrence of heavy rainfall events, modifying the atmospheric circulation and water vapor transport over northern South America. So, when we look at this, we see this forecast. We know that these phases of the MJO are associated with more rain in Brazil. So now we can move forward confidently, understanding that we probably will have a window to get some moisture in. So let's flip over. We'll pull up the latest European weeklies, which is what I want to do. And I want to show you the forecast in South America, specifically focused on Brazil. Here's the next 7 days, anomaly-wise, not great. We're still dry through the first week of December. But as we roll this forward, and remember what we just looked at here with the MJO, right? It's moving into this phase between the 6th and the 11th. There's going to be a slight lag for that convection to really feed back on the pattern. Look at the date here, 15th, and look at Mato Grosso. All of a sudden, the model is showing that moisture shifting northward into central Brazil. Above normal rainfall in Mato Grosso and central Brazil continues through the end of December on the weeklies. This is a impressive moisture profile here. If we look at this in increments, we can see the difference. So this is 7-day precipitation totals. All our rain has been down here, but as we move this forward to mid-December, here comes our surge of moisture. This is almost a monsoonal look to this moisture here across Brazil on the European weeklies as we move into the period ending around Christmas. And again, those anomalies are super impressive. So you might be wondering what the GFS is showing. The GFS extended, right? We move this forward. The GFS extended is not as impressive, but it still builds above normal moisture into Brazil during the second half of December. We're still seeing that moisture surge northward. This is for the week of Christmas. So we're seeing that moisture push northward here as well. The one thing I want to note, the European is generally much more accurate with the MJO than the GFS. This is well known throughout the industry. The GFS is jumpy and not as good with the handling of the MJO. So we are going to lean towards a slight bias on the European for now with this moisture. And what that brings us is a pattern that trends wetter across Brazil as we move into the second half of December, particularly from the 20th onward. Now, given what we know about this soil moisture and what we know about the conditions, this is not going to solve our problem immediately. It's going to take some time. And what we need to figure out now, we're getting more confident in this pattern change, but we still are yet to figure out is just how long it lasts. The European weeklies take it into early January, and then it gets to a really mixed signal after that. It's unclear how long this is going to last. We go back to the MJO. Does this MJO last here? Does it continue traversing, or does this die and does our forcing over here take over again? Because if it does, guess what? We're going right back to the pattern that we've been in. So we have a very complex situation coming up. I just want to recap. It's time to end the narrative that the European has been wrong and the GFS has been better. That's not true. We looked at this. We have the confidence of this MJO coming in over the date line and changing the pattern. We know the research says that it will get wetter across Brazil during that time frame, and we agree that it will. But it has been so dry that it's still unclear just how much this is going to affect locally, the pattern and the moisture and the conditions. But it will definitely get better in the second half of December, and then we'll have to figure out how long it lasts into January. So confidence is increasing in that pattern change. There will be moisture to come during the second half of December. We're now going to get into the point where we have to start really pinning down where that's going to be and how much moisture there's going to be. We know above normal is a possibility. That would be great for a lot of folks that really, really need the moisture. So we'll keep a very close eye on this. We'll have other videos coming out later this week detailing southern Brazil and Argentina as well, but they are of less focus right now. I just wanted to get this out today and just talk about this pattern here in Brazil. In the next couple of days and into next week, we're going to break down all the model runs. Make sure you guys are signed up for the live blog, and we'll have streaming information to you coming all day long. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning.